I, Tonya. So, I, Tonya is the story of Tonya Harding, the Olympic athlete that was going for gold, but stopped short at assault. This movie is based off of interviews that the actual people, Tonya Harding, her mom, her ex-husband, her security guard, and a couple other people actually gave. So it's kind of loosely based around those events. With that said, I'd like to talk about the structure of the movie. It was interesting. It kind of tried to blend the regular biopic style following Tonya's life and all of the events surrounding the controversy around her, but it also blended in these moments that were the simulations of the interview as they were given. So it kind of went from a retrospective perspective to unfolding the events as they went down, and to me that indicated a bit of a conflict of tone. Along with that, while we were seeing the more biopic section, the characters would break the fourth wall at sections, which was a really cool idea and it worked well in execution, but I think that it would have been a better route for them to have just stuck with the biopic or just stuck with some kind of documentary style, but together they seem to clash. But it is a biopic, so we get to see Tonya all the way from when she started skating when she was 4 years old all the way to when she was 22, 23, and going for gold in the Olympics. So with that, we actually get to see her skating, or at least her stunt double skating, and it's breathtaking to see the cinematography they use to capture these action sequences. You actually feel like the camera, just as much as the stunt double, the performer, is a part of the act. They're dancing, they're figure skating along with the actor. There's this one shot where it's the very first time we get to see adult Tonya skate. I believe it's at the national competition, and the camera starts under her. This great powerful shot where she's looking down at the camera and it's looking up at her, and then it swoops up with a crane and now we're looking down at her from overhead, and the camera keeps moving back and forth and gives us all of the angles that we need to see just how spectacular these moves are. If you didn't know, Tonya Harding was, at the time, the only woman in the world that could pull off a successful triple axel. And if you don't understand what that is, they explain it in the movie, but you basically have to skate backwards first of all, which, just that right there, I'm out. But you have to skate backwards, jump, and do 3 turns in the air. 3 turns. Try and do 1 turn without falling. If you didn't see my intro, I fell about 10 times just filming that intro, and I'm not even on ice. But there's this slow motion scene where you see her completing this first triple axel, and it's just beautiful and stunning and gorgeous. So again, this movie is looking to grab one of those Oscars, but with that we get a lot of really well-controlled and thoughtful performances. Margot Robbie as Tonya Harding was phenomenal. I mean, she keeps bringing the bar up with every performance that we've seen from her since basically The Wolf of Wall Street, and she does not let us down here. As Tonya Harding, she brings the character a certain kind of intensity that allows us to see a little bit of the humanity within her instead of just this vilified, gold-grabbing criminal. With that, her mother, Lavana Golden, played by Allison Janney, was incredible. You truly see the extent to which Tonya Harding's rag to riches story truly was starting from rags. She grew up in this small, redneck town, and her mother is basically just a piece of white trash. And she beats her, and she's been beaten all of her life just because her mother wants to push her to get that extra little oomph. There's a couple scenes in the movie where her mother says, you know, Tonya won't do excellent unless you tell her she won't be excellent, and then she'll push past it, so you just gotta give her that little extra oomph. Which is interesting, I guess. I would say that Janney's performance in this movie is just as good as J.K. Simmons' performance in Whiplash. And I'm not just saying that because they start opposite each other in Juno, but they both play this similar character where they're pushing their student and they're going and they're trying to make them do the best they can, and to do that they feel the only thing that they can do is to beat them down and push them down so that they feel compelled to break out of that agonizing world. I've heard a lot of people saying that this movie was really eye-opening as far as the victimization of Tonya Harding in these events and kind of how everyone else was involved and it kind of spiraled out of control, but I think that the movie did a really good job of not giving too hard of a position on who was at fault for the assault on Nancy Kerrigan. It lays out the events as they happened and kind of leaves it to the viewer to decide what really happened. In the end, I'll keep this one short and sweet. It's Oscar season and I, Tonya is going to be up there, but not necessarily because it was the best movie I've seen in a while, but because it has these really intense character studies and allows us to see not only the rise and fall of a great athlete, but the depths that made her stoop as far as she stooped. Moreover, it shapes these events in a different kind of light that may or may not shape Tonya Harding as the victim, which I think is a really interesting take for a movie that is tackling events like these. The acting was great, the action sequences were superb. There were a couple of pacing issues for me personally, but if you are a fan of the story and a fan of Margot Robbie, you'll be very pleased with this movie. So with that said, I'm going to give this movie a solid B+. I'll be here as always. Catch you next time.